When I was growing up and becoming more independent, and my family realized that I need a cell phone, they gave me a janky little flip phone. I believe it was a Nokia, and the only things I could use it for were texting, taking pictures, which the quality was so bad, and calling people. I think it might have had like one game, but that doesn't matter. The point is, iPhones were out, and I wasn't able to get a smartphone until I believe I was like 14 or 15. I was at least in high school. And I believe that should be the standard for when most kids get smartphones. And there are a few reasons for that. Reason one, cyberbullying. Two, explicit content. And three, just online predators in general. I don't believe that kids under the age of 12 to 14 have any real reason to have a smartphone other than they really want one. There's no applications that they need to be using for school or for, any social, part of their life. There's nothing they need. They're just things that they want, and they should be taught that the internet is a dangerous place and they need to be mature enough and responsible enough to use it. So I'm going to be talking about those 3 points: cyberbullying, explicit content, and online predators. To start off, cyberbullying is bullying that takes place over cell phones, computers, or tablets. This is from the article "What is Cyberbullying" at stopbullying.gov. The reason cyberbullying is so dangerous is because it's persistent. It can happen at any time during the day. If you have access to a smartphone, anybody can say anything to you directly without you accepting their message or whatever. So if your son or daughter is being bullied, it can happen to them at any time during the day, and they can feel very attacked and insecure about getting away from their bully. It's also permanent, so anything they say, whether it be indirectly or publicly, that will be permanent. That will stay there. If your son or daughter happens to be the bully and they don't realize what they're doing, and down the road there could be legal action taken against them. There could be consequences for getting into a college that they've always wanted to get into, or perhaps even job opportunities. So you just have to make sure that your child has a mature attitude and they know how to handle themselves when they have access to the internet like this, or just messaging in general. And then finally, cyberbullying is just hard to notice in general. It happens anonymously all the times. Kids can create a fake account, or they can do it over voice chats or in chat rooms, and it's hard to identify who is, and there's really no one to blame. And kids know this, and they say very vulgar things without any repercussions. So again, cyberbullying is one reason why an immature child should not have a smartphone. But another reason is just explicit content in general. Kids under 12 to 14 really don't need to see things like sexual content, drugs and alcohol, violence, crude language. There's no reason for them to see those things. That's why we don't let them watch R-rated movies. It's the same thing why we shouldn't let them go on social media. I have a quote here. Miss Weinberger, author of The Boogeyman Exists, and He's in Your Child's Back Pocket. She surveyed 70,000 children in the last 18 months and found that sexting began in 5th grade, pornography consumption started at 8 years old, and the addiction to pornography started at 11 years old. If you didn't offer your kids internet access on something like social or a smartphone, they wouldn't be able to access these things. Obviously 5th grade, 8 years old, and 11 years old, these are all ages of children that have no business being involved with any sexual activity whatsoever. So, making sure you're giving them access to the internet when it's an age where, okay, maybe it's okay to start thinking about sexual activity, or, you can handle seeing drugs and alcohol, violence, or crude language, stuff like, not everybody needs to see or wants to see, but if they happen to stumble upon it, at least they're of an age where it's not going to scar them, or it's not going to change their behaviors, or make them do something you wouldn't want a 10-year-old to do. So avoiding cyberbullying, avoided explicit content. Finally, we have predators, online predators, sexual predators, financial predators. I have a quote here from Children and Grooming Online Predators. There are about 500,000 online predators that are active each day. So they're out there, and if your kid doesn't know about them and stumbles upon them, they could be in trouble, whether they're trying to take advantage of them sexually, whether they're trying to get your credit card information, your IP address, trying to steal something from you directly. It's very important that your child who has a smartphone is aware of these people, and that they are just trying to scam you or trying to get something out of you they shouldn't, and it is legal and it is wrong, and they know how to take care of this situation when it does happen. So just to kind of conclude, there's no reason for a child to have a smartphone at the age of 7 years old. They're not going to be using their phone for anything that's going to be benefiting their life. It's just things that they want to have because maybe their friends have it or your mom has it or whatever. They don't need it, okay? They're not mature enough until they're 12 or until they're 14. Somewhere in that range is fine, but they don't need it. And then when you do finally give them a smartphone, if it may be at a younger age, like 10 or something, for whatever reason you do decide to get them a smartphone, just be aware that there are ways that you can monitor their activity on there. You can block certain apps through app stores. You can block certain websites through your Wi-Fi provider. You can set limits to how much usage of the internet they can do each day. So there are ways that you can prevent them from seeing some of these things. And that's why I just believe it's very important that you make sure your child is of a certain age, and I believe that age is 12 to 14 before giving them a smartphone.